Hello, everybody. So, I was watching the podcast of the Lotus Eaters the other day. I don't know what segment I was actually watching, but while they were talking about the subject they were talking about, the subject of quality of our MPs came up, and they were discussing within that podcast that the level and the quality of our MPs has gone down over the last few years. Well, not just the last few years, over the last few decades, if you really want to get into it. But anyway, this section here with Jeremy Kyle kind of highlights just how far our MPs have gone and how poor they actually are. And this is a Tory MP, and this is I forget what his name is. He'll mention his name in a minute. But as you can see from the title here, Tory MP Fury after Jeremy Kyle says illegal migrants are criminals. I mean, the first clue is actually in the name illegal immigrants, isn't it? You know, the word illegal immigrant suggests that they're criminals, because if you're doing something illegal or you're entering a country illegal, then you're automatically a criminal. But we'll watch the segment and we'll watch what this MP has actually got to say.
A large rise over the last year. The Home Affairs Committee was told, this is an unbelievable figure, that up to 2% of the entire male population of Albania aged between 20 and 40, this is 10,000 men, have arrived on small boats this year in this country. The reason they're arriving on small boats is they can't go through the visa process because they have broken the law. These men, we're not talking about economic migrants, people escaping war-torn areas. We're talking about 10,000 Albanian criminals disappearing into our society, dealing in drugs, sex trafficking, weaponry, all sorts of terrible things. And it is absolutely shocking that this is happening. We're not talking about housing them in hotels. We're not talking about the moral idea. We're talking about criminals coming into this country. Now, an hour ago, I spoke to Mr. Anwar, a defence lawyer, who said that it's about the law, and these people should be getting the same treatment as anybody else. There's a prosecution, there's defence, and there's a judge. A lot of you, masses of you, millions of you actually, really, really frustrated with this situation, that a government cannot do something about it. The successive governments have failed miserably to come up with a system that allows this to happen. I'm delighted to be joined now by an MP actually for North Thanet, and to be able to talk to Sir Roger Gale about something other than Boris Johnson. Sir Roger, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy.
I just want to start because I had a defence lawyer on who told me I know nothing about anything because he refuses to accept that people have a right to an opinion. The Times article this week and this figure, I'm not talking about the cost of housing for other migrants. I am talking specifically, Sir Roger, about 10,000 Albanian male criminals coming in on small boats, infesting our country and committing crime. Do you not think, as an MP in that sort of area, because I'm hearing from hundreds of people today, that is an absolutely dreadful thing to be happening in 2022 in the United Kingdom?
Jeremy, you are fairly plain and straight talking, and you know so am I. And actually, what you've just said is emotive, corrosive, offensive drivel. There are not 10,000 Albanian criminals coming in.
There aren't.
This is where I had to laugh, because entering a country illegal automatically makes you a criminal. Now, this doesn't get mentioned in this segment, but I'm going to bring this up. If you're coming across on a boat and you ditch your ID and you ditch your passport, your motives for coming to this country are not good, are they? And this is something this Tory MP neglects to understand. The fact that you're entering the country illegal automatically makes you a criminal. It's a criminal offence. And this is the state of the Tory party. This is a member of Parliament saying this.
Hang on, either we're going to have a sensible conversation about this or we're not. We're going to have a sensible conversation. Yes, there are serious issues that need to be addressed. But don't start using Nigel Farage's language, because I'll switch off.
So listen to that there, right? This is a Tory MP. He's there to represent the people of his constituency. So what about if the people of his constituency raise concerns about illegal immigration, and they start using the same arguments that Nigel Farage is using? And there's nothing wrong with what Nigel Farage is saying, by the way. This member of parliament here will say he'll switch off, he won't listen. Does this man sound like he is a person that should be in the Houses of Parliament? Somebody that will switch off and will not listen to people who go against what he thinks. That is somebody I don't want in Parliament. I want people that are open to everybody's situation, open to everybody's opinions, not just going to switch off and dismiss people. And he goes on, Jeremy Kyle goes on the segment after this guy goes off, and then he has a man on the phone. And basically the guy on the phone just comes on and says, we know what these people are. They're Remainers. They don't like the fact that certain people in our society want tougher immigration. This person in this thing, in the section here, this Sir Roger Gale, doesn't want tougher immigration. That's obvious. He's a Remoaner. And they're all liberals. They're not a Conservative party. They're all liberals. You can tell by the way he talks.
Telling me there aren't 10,000 migrants from Albania, criminals who have come into this country.
That is not what you said. Yeah, you said 10,000 criminals.
10,000 Albanian migrant men between 20 and 42% of their population.
So we've now taken the argument down a notch. We're now talking about 10,000 Albanian men. That is correct. But don't describe them emotively and irrationally as 10,000 criminals, because they aren't.
Yes, they are. The minute you set foot in this country without a passport, without ID, without going through the proper process of immigration, getting a visa, if you're doing that illegally, you're a criminal. What doesn't this man understand? That these are the people we have representing us in Parliament. These are the people that are making our laws. And they don't even understand the laws themselves. They don't understand that going across a border without ID and identification and not going through the proper passport control is illegal. You're a criminal if you do that. If you did that in any other country, you'd be held, put in prison, or held in a immigration camp until you're processed and deported. But no, we're bleeding hearts. Like I said, these Conservatives that we have in government at the minute, they're no such thing. They're no such thing at all. They're not Conservatives. And lots of people think this now. They're liberals. They're liberals in masquerading as Conservatives.
They're not criminals. They're not criminals.
There are no doubt within them some people who have committed offences in Albania. That has to be dealt with. But let's have a sensible conversation about this.
All right, let's have a sensible question then. If let's say 10,000 Albanian men arrive, Sir Roger, on boats. Let me put this to you then, if you want a sensible conversation. If they're not criminals, why don't they go through the process of gaining a visa and coming to this country legally?
The answer to that is, as with every other, and you said these are not economic migrants. Those are your words. Actually, they are economic migrants, and they can't get visas. And they wouldn't be able to get in legally. Quite properly, they wouldn't be able to get in legally, and that's why they're coming through illegal routes. Now, do I find that wrong? Yes, of course I do.
Right, so you've just answered your own question there. Why can't they legally obtain visas? Would that be because they're criminals? And if they went through the visa process, that would be established. We don't want criminals in our country. That's the reason for having a border in the first place. If these people are circumventing our legal barrier that stops criminals getting in this country, that's not a good thing. They should be held in camps and immediately deported. No refugee status should be given. And I'm not going to play any more of this segment, but they say in this segment that Albania is a democracy. There's no war there. And there's no good reason for these people to be coming over in these vast amounts of numbers. The only reason they're coming to the UK is because they want to join the Albanian criminal gangs. That's what they want to do. And unfortunately, we've got idiot liberals like this guy, this Sir Roger Gale, who will just open the floodgates, let them all in. Let them all in. And let's defend the criminals. And this is who we've got in Parliament. Unbelievable. The absolute state and level of our MPs is poor. It's very poor. This is a prime example of what we've got in Parliament. And this is why nothing is being done about basically the wide open border that we've got now down south. It's because of people like this. They don't raise debates in Parliament asking, what exactly are we doing about the flooding in of immigrants, record numbers of immigrants. I think it's 38,000 this year so far, over 1 million last year, coming into this country. What are we doing? Why are we allowing this to happen? Why are we putting these sorts of people in positions of power? We shouldn't be. Again, this is another prime example of why in the next general election you shouldn't be voting Labour, you shouldn't be voting Tory, if you can even call them Tory anymore. Richard Tice calls them con-socialists because that's basically what they are, aren't they? Anyway, I'll leave a link to this video in the underbar. You can go and watch it in its entirety for yourselves, but I'm going to cut it here. But yeah, what a shocking MP, and I feel sorry for this person's constituents if that's what they've got representing them in Parliament. This is Vindicator signing off.